I went to graduate school at UCLA in a program called Design Media Arts, which I studied closely under Casey Reese, who developed the processing programming language with Ben Fry. And I started working on generative art projects and kind of using code to make art. And I found myself really interested in the ways that we could use data and human systems to kind of tell stories and get people engaged about infrastructure and all kinds of compelling systems. I think I've always been interested in both art and technology. They've been kind of separate aspects of my life. And I think in college I started to combine them a little bit. I started to realize that there was a lot of power in making systems. And from that, and kind of just playing with code and playing with visual systems, I started to feed in other types of data and look at other types of content that was on the internet and elsewhere. One of the projects that I did, flight patterns, I basically got hundreds of megabytes of text, and it was just outlining the locations of aircraft over a 24-hour period. And I just quickly wrote up an application to parse and plot the data and dump it onto screen. And I really had no idea, even if it would work, like if there would be any continuity from one frame to the next or what would happen. And I just kind of built it up, hit play, and next thing you know, I see just all the aircraft streaming through the skies right in front of me. And I could zoom into a specific area and see exactly the paths that they were flowing and how many there were at different locations. And it was a really exciting kind of experience. And then at the same time, you can tweak, an individual parameter and say, I want to see all 747s visualized, twice as thick and with like a volumetric fog kind of effect. And it's a really exciting kind of way to play around. It's one thing to say there's 20,000 airplanes, but to see them is a totally different thing. And with email or demographic information, if you can see, you can see an event actually occur on a map, I think you have a totally different experience of the way that, those are real people engaged in real activities and real places, and it makes you relate to them in a different, more meaningful way. In data visualization, the most important thing is actually the decisions that you make in terms of what data and kind of what you're trying to express with that data and what you're trying to express with the ways that you've chosen to visualize that data. Personally, I consider the most successful projects that I've done to be more like the sheet market and 10,000 cents because I find them more fulfilling and more exciting, where I'm kind of creating my own data sets and it's more truly about people and about people within the system. But in terms of making a financial living, I think that there's obviously a huge use and a huge need for data visualization as we live in this world of information. Because as I said, there's just an abundance of information, and making sense of that information is the most difficult part. I think if anything, we see that we're getting too much information, and it's not actually information. What we're getting is too much data, and I think that what we need is the ability to translate all of that data into information and knowledge, and into something that people can understand and relate to. And I think that there's just now beginning to be an emerging market that I think will definitely blossom in that translation of data into meaning. If you look at the world of finance, stock market, trading, the visualizing patterns, visualizing historical information, there's already a huge business there. But I think what you'll see is that moving into other markets. You'll see that moving into all kinds of other fields. Predictive modeling and all kinds of other things that are currently in place are awesome, but oftentimes only a computer understands it. I'm actually working on a project right now, which will be in the San Jose airport, which is a sculpture that's driven by data. It's a little bit more on the artistic side of things. The idea being that you can take data from a number of different locations pertaining to the weather and give a sense of that through the sculpture itself, through physical form. We're going to be looking specifically at airports across the United States, and we're going to be taking weather conditions, so airspeed, humidity, wind direction, and we're going to be creating patterns that get pushed through this cloud, basically this large matrix of panels, LCD panels. I'm working with the head of the design department at Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, and also an artist at JPL, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California. So we have kind of a nice mix of a real designer, a real kind of scientist, artist, and myself, this data nerd mesh. I also spent some time working at Yahoo over the past several years, and Yahoo's extremely interesting because they have lots of information. So this is one of the first visualizations that I did there, looking at their email system. This is looking at all of the email that's coming into Yahoo and where it's coming from. Visualized
I don't come from a graphic design background, so to me, I think design is just being born. I think the idea that now design really means design. It means creating something all the way through and through. I think the most exciting thing to me working at Yahoo and working on a number of these more technical jobs is that I had the ability to kind of come up with the idea, fabricate the idea, engineer the idea, and see it through the entire process. Because I see a lot of projects that are created and you see the designers over here and the engineers over here, and one of them builds it and the other one deals with the other one's decisions. And I think now the ability to have this kind of hybrid, the ability to have the person who's designing it actually engineer it and follow the design decisions all the way through the engineering process leads to a more seamless product. I mean, I think that most data visualization should be dynamic and it should be responsive. So most successful projects that I've seen are generally still electronic or generally still changing over time. One of my favorite pieces is by Mark Hansen and Ben Rubin called The Listening Post, which is this gigantic sculpture of LCD panels. And they're all analog, like flickering back and forth, and they're basically showing you information from chats and people discussing certain topics on the internet. And they have these beautiful montages of real-time feeds, and you truly get a sense of like this mass of emotion and energy pertaining to different topics, and it totally surrounds you, and it's a very overwhelming and wonderful experience. Well, there's a lot of tools out there, and although I use processing mostly for it's definitely not the only tool that I use. A lot of the interface stuff I'll do with Flash, a lot of the final touches with After Effects or post-production software. Obviously, Photoshop plays an integral role in a lot of photo manipulation and kind of batch processes. So I think you see the most interesting kinds of explorations happening in the open source community, where all of these production tools, you get a lot of people who are well-versed in doing one thing. And you see the most, because of the nature of open source software, you can pull and rip and decide which parts you want to use, and if you don't like an aspect, change it. And the ability to do that makes for definitely the most interesting experimentation and discovery. I think the future is, we've been progressing exactly the way I'd like to see things. I think processing is an awesome project, and it's led a number of different projects, and it kind of inspired people to start creating equally useful and interesting tools. It's an interesting time for fusion, and you see lots of things getting meshed together and lots of different things being tried. And I think some of them will succeed and some of them will fail. And it's kind of interesting to, it's interesting to see that there's an ability to have a lack of categorization where people are able to wander. And there's some really interesting creative firms that I see popping up that are doing lots of different types of projects. And it's nice that they can exist with this kind of flexibility to do a little bit of exhibition design and a little bit of more traditional graphic design and web design and print. I think everything's becoming kind of hybrid and mashed together.